If AI feels optional to you, today's episode is going to change your mind. Today's guest helps people survive, adapt, and win in the AI shift. He spent 2 decades at Microsoft working with enterprises at a massive scale. And then he walked away to build tools and platforms for individuals, professionals, and builders who don't want to be left behind. He says the future isn't about learning more tools, it's about upgrading your future self. Ladies and gentlemen, founder of the Rift, builder of Pollzy, Sash Mohapatra. Welcome to
Hi,
101
Sachin.
Talks.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Shashwat, let's rewind. You spent 20 years at Microsoft working with hyperscale cloud, AI, security. The safest, most stable career anybody could ask for. What was the moment you realized, I just don't want to work inside a system? I want to build something new?
Well, that's a great question, Sachin. So I started my career at Microsoft right out of college in Bangalore. I started in the call center. I was always very curious about technology, and one thing led to another, and I just had this journey in Microsoft for 20 years. I went from being in the call center doing Exchange server support to being a field engineer in India and Southeast Asia. And being in your 20s, you're working for a large company with all these clients, traveling around was a huge, huge learning experience for me. And then I sort of took that to the next level when cloud came about. I came to the US as a field engineer, and then I went on to do sales. I worked on all kinds of on-prem as well as cloud technology and eventually landed in AI. Towards the end, like last few years in Microsoft, I always had this inkling of doing something different. Now within Microsoft, I had several jobs. I worked in 3 different countries. I worked with hundreds of customers around the world, and I probably had a dozen different jobs. But I had this inkling of sort of building something of my own. And also in 2023, there was a lot of layoffs that happened in Microsoft. And I was a part of that. And when that happened, I took it as an opportunity to start to think about what I want to do. And I was just picking up. ChatGPT had been released in 2022. And in mid 2023, there was a crazy amount of hype. And I just dove in. I just dove in to understand what's going on. Let me play around with these AI tools. I started writing blogs, and it slowly kind of developed into Rift. And it was not a single moment per se. It was a lot of just experimenting, just trying to understand what's going on with this AI world. And for me, having seen on-prem and then cloud, I could connect the dots to see this is the biggest revolution that we're probably going to see, so far in our lifetimes. And this could change everything. This AI revolution could change everything, how we work, how we do business, how people consume knowledge, all of it. So I thought this is the right thing to be focused on. So I started writing more. And then I truly believe that people that are invested in learning these tools will have a huge arbitrage advantage in the future. That is why my favorite quote is upgrade your future self. Because if you start now, in a couple of years, you'll be ahead of the market with the AI tools. So it wasn't a single moment. It was just one thing led to another, me experimenting, writing, understanding, and then sort of one thing clicked, and then Rift came about. And then Pollzy was a completely accidental birth. We can talk about that too.
Yeah. So the phase you mentioned about the layoff, that is a most difficult phase, or it is how we take it. But in India, we see that is most difficult phase. They take it in a very wrong sense. Could you give guidance to our younger audience, like how to face it?
Yeah. It's difficult here too. And in the past 2 years, we've seen so many layoffs in all companies all around the world. And it is a bit of a feeling when you feel like you're uprooted out of your own grounding. And for me, I worked for Microsoft for 20 years. My entire friend circle, my network, everything was just concentrated in Microsoft. And I had no idea about the startup world. I had no idea about where to begin. So it was very nerve-wracking. It was very risky. But I think one thing that helped me sort of keep moving forward was just being excited about AI, about learning more. So for the younger audience, I'll say if you're in this situation, this is an opportunity. Think about it as an opportunity. Think about it as an opportunity to try different things that you have always wanted to do, but you were not, you know, confident to do. But just dive into learning. And then once you learn, you put yourself out there, you sort of try new things, other opportunities will come to you. And I always say luck follows action. So if you're moving, you're doing things, you're engaging with the world, especially in a situation when you were laid off, you're learning new things, then opportunity will come to you, luck will come to you. So always think about it in a mindset that, okay, this is a chance to do something different, and let's try it. And, it's hard, it's not easy, it's extremely hard to do something by yourself. But if you're persistent, you can, get through it.
Wow. Be persistent and think it of as an opportunity.
And take care of yourself, be with friends, don't try to get anxious, because this is, getting laid off is not easy. Be with friends and family and just learn new things, just experiment. And I think one thing today, like right now, AI has made technology very democratic, right? You have this power in your hands that everybody has probably thought in their lifetime, I should start a business. Somebody has had an idea sometime. Now you can use AI to build that idea. You can use AI to sort of put more structure to that idea and learn how you can execute it. You can do it for free. You can use ChatGPT for free, Perplexity for free, and start doing it. And once you start sort of taking the first step, other things will open up. So take the first step, like take it as an opportunity and take the first
That's
step.
that's the very correct guidance.
Hopefully it helps.
You studied engineering in Bangalore and you are part of this big rock band also. You are involved in music and arts, which isn't stereotype we associate with traditional tech careers. How did that early blend of engineering and creativity shape the way you think about AI today? And we need to know a little bit more about the rock band which you are part of.
Wow. Well, so I'm from Odisha. My family is from Odisha, but I went to Bangalore for engineering and I fell in love with it. So I lived in Bangalore for 10 years. And my family, my father and my late uncle, they were musicians. They are musicians. My dad has sang in Odia film and radio for 40 years. My uncle
Awesome.
produced music for Odia film and music for 60 years. It was just growing up, music was always around in the family. I started playing guitar when I was in high school. And then when I got to Bangalore has this rock culture, right? You find people who play
Yes.
music, and a lot of engineers play guitar or music. Some kind of music was always going around in the hostel. And I studied in the Anand Sagar College of Engineering. I met people, we used to jam. And then in college, we had a band. We would play in the National Law School Fest. We would compete against other engineering colleges. And slowly a band formed. And after college, when I was working in Microsoft, I met more people in the professional industry. We're all just young, man, in our 20s. And we found some people, formed a band. And it was initially 3 of us, and then it were 5. And we would play around in bars in Bangalore. We didn't make any money, but we loved playing it. Any bar that will give us free food and drinks, we'll play. But that music kept going on. Even in the US band, which was with my Microsoft friends, I still produce music here and there. I think the touch of creativity is very important for engineering today. Here's why. Prior to AI building software, you had specializations. You had a designer, you had a product manager, you had coders, software developers, and there's almost a pipeline of how you design products and you build products. With AI now, all of that can be condensed into one single tool. So having a sense of creativity is important. You can guide the AI to create features that are more innovative, to create experiences that look good, feel good, and also are good for your user journey. So creativity that way is super important, I think, for today in building software. And another thing I tell all engineering and music, both of them are very analytical. It's actually math. Music is very mathematical too. So
Yes.
anyone who's analytical like that, you have almost like an additional layer of advantage if you're creative with your analytical skills as software development. So, and music's always been sort of, it's in the blood, in the family. We all grew up around recording studios. So it's always there. I don't do as much music as I used to right now, but I'm going to come back to that.
And see, you don't say I teach AI. You say I help people navigate the AI shift. What is this AI shift really about, and why do people misunderstand it?
So, part of the reason why I call it the AI shift and the company is called Rift is because Rift means a break from normal, right? It is like a disruption. And what the AI shift is a complete disruption in how things are done. When the internet came about, it changed the human and technology relationship completely. It democratized data. You could search for things. And then companies like Google and Amazon came about, which made everything accessible, right? We all became dependent on the internet. We no job can exist in the world today without touching the internet, at least for a little bit. That was a massive change. Oh, that disrupted so many industries. For example, internet companies like Airbnb disrupted hotel industries. Internet companies like
Yes.
Uber disrupted taxis and how we engage with transport. Now, the AI shift is taking that to the next level. AI is going to change how we work, how we consume data, how business is done, how jobs are defined, how content is written and exposed, everything. So that shift is so massive and it's so new that it is very overwhelming for people. How does one understand, okay, I'm a software developer today, I have 10 years experience. What is my next 10 years going to look like with AI? I'm a CEO of a company. We're $50 million in revenue, and we are a purely internet company. What does the next 10 years of our company look like with AI? These things are hard to sort of wrap your head around, and it is important for people to sort of understand the right way to approach it. That's sort of the AI shift, which I see. And with my experience and background, when I saw on-prem to cloud to machine learning and then to AI, I have seen that progression. And each of these revolution, one thing is important. Systems is important, how you build systems around you as an individual or a business. Second, patterns. It's not about the tool. What you can do with ChatGPT, you can also do with Claude. You can build a app with Cursor. You can also build an app with Replit. Doesn't matter which tool you choose. It's the system you use to build it will help you navigate the shift. So that's kind of my mission, to help people and businesses build systems that can help you navigate the AI shift. The ones that do it earlier will have an advantage. People that are getting already onto it in 2025 and focus on purely making AI their advantage in 2026 will be very successful in the years to come. So that's sort of the AI shift that I talk about. My mission is to sort of help businesses and people navigate.
A quick follow up from that, the Rift also talks about clarity over hype. In a world
Yes.
screaming about prompts, tools, and trends, how do you personally decide what's signal and what's noise?
It's a very difficult task to do. When I started the Rift, part of the reason why I started writing blogs was to understand what was going on. In 2023, I started, like end of 2023, I started writing blogs. And I was so overwhelmed. I would go on like LinkedIn and Twitter and see everybody's an AI expert. Everybody's talking about this tool or that tool. There's a new tool that does the same thing every week. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. Now, I was too young in the internet days, like .com days. But .com boom was like that. Every company that became a .com was getting VC money and they were growing, and then the bubble popped. So for me, it was difficult to sort of understand. So what I did is I built systems with AI to help filter out the noise. So on the Rift, there is something called the Pulse. It's a news engine. And I built that news engine in like January 2024. It's 100% agentic. And I built it so that I can understand what's going on. And then I kept fine tuning the AI to give me very curated things. And as I learned about it, I would take that knowledge and put it into the AI system instructions. So it started as a pure need for me to understand the signal. And then once I started understanding it, I started connecting the patterns with my own experience of the internet and cloud era. Then I started looking at things differently because I was also chasing the newest tool. Every week I would find a new tool, try it, and I would get overwhelmed. This tool does the same thing as the other one. Then I shifted my mindset towards patterns of how you can build a system of thinking, a mindset, and the tool doesn't really matter. That's sort of how I started using AI to filter out the noise. And then Rift eventually became a destination where, okay, it's signal only. And I spent 6 months kind of fine tuning my system to understand what was signal and what what else was kind of hype. And I think right now the hype phase is fading a little, as you can see, but there's still a lot of noise out there. It's very overwhelming for people.
What is a learning here, and what I clearly appreciate is you saw the problem, what you faced, you solved it yourself, you used it, then after using it, after fine tuning it, you scaled it. I'm talking about the pulse, right? So this is the way how if startup is built, it can be scaled to others' problems, right? So you have the problem, others are having the same problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a big learning process for me. And one thing, AI is new, right? Anybody who claims to be an AI expert, researchers are different. Researchers who have worked on machine learning, AI, they're actual experts, right? They've got PhDs doing this stuff for years. But I'm not an AI expert, but I call myself an AI explorer. I try things and I try to connect dots between patterns and I try to understand what's going on. And then I will find something which will click in my head. Oh, wow, this is cool. I think this is what people should try and do. It's all about experimentation and exploring. I don't call myself an expert. I call myself an explorer. Even in my newsletters, I write in a very inquisitive way. Oh, I tried this. This is what I think is going to happen, but who knows what's going to happen? But this is my perspective. So it's a lot of, I get excited about these things too, because it's fun to try new things. And I feel like a, kid sometimes just trying new things.
Yeah, we must be curious like a kid at
I am.
this era of AI.
I am. I always say curiosity should be a skill that should be taught. And if you're curious in this AI era, you will be successful.
True, very true. So now let's talk about Pollzy. You have built an AI-powered live engagement tool, and you have openly shared. I mean, you also share the journey how you built it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So could you share a journey and what personally annoyed you enough to build Pollzy?
This is one thing that you said. It was a problem that I had, and I tried to solve it. So in November, I launched AI training called AI in 30 for AI foundations for non-technical people to learn how to use AI in November. And I ran like waitlists for 3 weeks, and I had about 200 odd signups, a little more than 200. So when I was preparing, it was a 4-week training. Each week there was a webinar and there was like a live Q&A session. I was looking for a tool for live audience engagement, to run live polls with your audience. And because there were 200 signups, I wanted it to be scalable, right? It should work for, at least 50, 60 people at a time. So I started researching what tools are out there. And I found the big names: Mentimeter, Slido, Aha Slides, Poll Everywhere. These 4 I found. These 4 are existing. They're the market leaders. Mentimeter is the market leader in that live polling SaaS. And I tried them. I was shocked at how dated these tools were. Their interfaces look like they were from like 2010. They all have AI bolted on, but it never works. And plus, I realized that even if you had to, like with Slido, if you had to run more than 3 questions in one poll, you had to upgrade. So I was like very frustrated. And I have 1 week left to the first webinar. I didn't want to pay for these, old tools. So I went into Replit and I basically asked it to make me a clone. First shot, it came up with a very decent version. And it
Wow.
wasn't scalable. There was no authentication. There was nothing there. It had a UI and it built a simple poll and there was one Q&A feature. It built it one shot. So I was like, oh, wow, okay, let me see if I can build this. So in the next few hours, I brainstormed with ChatGPT, what should I call it? And it was ChatGPT's idea to call it Pollzy. So I bought the domain name. I connected that basic software that was built by Replit to the domain name and published it. I used that for my first webinar, I used that basic version. And then I had 3 more webinars to go in the next 3 weeks. While preparing for the trainings, I would build features into it. Oh, next week I want to try a word cloud. Next week I want to try a live Q&A. And every week I added features to it and I would use it in the webinar, see how it works. In the second webinar, it crashed. And I told the people, I'm like, this is beta software that I have just built. So we're going to test it. And it crashed in the second webinar. So I built it and in 4 weeks, I had a fully functional product. And by the way, I mean, I know systems, I know internet engineering, so I understood WebSockets, I understood all of that stuff. But I just brainstormed it with a Replit agent and I built it little by little. So after 1 month, I'm like, okay, maybe this is, and then the AI powered session engagement was also Replit agent's idea. So I built it, now it works. I reached out to some friends of mine who are in academia professors and teachers, they're now testing it. And we're going to see if we can try and disrupt that niche SaaS space. So same here. I just started with trying to solve one of my problems. And then I just enjoyed building it. So I thought I will share my journey in public. So if you go to Pollzy.co, if you go to the insider section, the full build log is available. Every single commit I've done is public. There's blogs about how I wrote it. I post regular videos to LinkedIn and X about how I am building it. If you follow me on X, I do a daily post. What did I do with the Pollzy today?
Right.
So today is day 33 of building Pollzy. So it's just fun, man. It's like, wow, I didn't know I could just build software like that. So when I was able to build it, I'm like, wow, let's see if we can build it better. So that's how it started.
Wow, wow. I've used few softwares like Replete and Lovable, and the first time I used it, I was awestruck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the journey has just begun. We should see
I
where it
agree.
goes.
Yeah, I mean, first time when I asked it to build me a clone and it built it in 5 minutes and I was just staring at the screen. I'm like, wait, does this work? I spent like 10 minutes figuring out if it works and it worked. So I'm like, wow, okay, let me see if I can build this out. So here we are.
And one more thing I love when I read your profile and read your blogs, you keep saying capability beats information. What does real capability look like for a normal professional and not an engineer?
Not an engineer. I think it goes back to a couple of things. Really understanding what you like to do in your job. Everybody's job has different tasks which they do daily or weekly or monthly. There's specialization in whatever you do, but there's so many things that we don't like to do. It's not best use of time. There are a lot of repetitive things that every job has to do. If you can really think about how you can build systems with AI that handles all that grunt work while you save your brain power and excitement and creativity to do things that you like to do, that becomes your capability, right? That is very, very powerful. And building the AI muscle and the AI mindset is the capability I talk about. You can consume a lot of information. You can consume a lot of emails, newsletters, try a lot of tools. And I think part of the challenge in the market is there's so many tools. It's people get confused. Okay, I use ChatGPT for this. It's working fine, but that this guy says that I should use Claude for this. It's just too confusing. So for me, capability means that. How do you understand your work or your life or things you do in your life and find the boring, monotonous parts, figure out how to use AI to do that while you free yourself up to do more creative things, more strategic things, work on things that excite you. That is important in this day. Otherwise, if founders like us, I was talking to my wife about it last night. Both of us are like business owners now. And we said founders have to be delusionally optimistic and you have to have superhuman level of persistence. But if you're not excited about what you're doing, it's very hard to do it. So building that capability to me is important. Like really use AI as a tool, as a thought partner, and forget about the hype noise. Just pick a tool and just learn how to do it, learn how to use it best into your abilities, and learn how to shape that tool to do what you do. Don't worry about what other people are saying. Just focus on building that muscle, that capability for yourself. So it's kind of like the AI mindset.
Yeah, there's a new term. Delulu is this Celulu.
Delulu is the new
Being
cellular.
delusional is a solution. So you put it
Yeah.
rightly on that.
Yeah, it's no. I said founders we're delusionally optimistic, so otherwise it won't work.
See, you run programs like Applied AI for busy professionals. Please elaborate on it. What is the course about? And also, what's the most common mindset block you see when smart people start learning AI?
I'll start with the second part of that question. The most common sort of thing I see is very human. People are fearful because a lot of people think that if this AI is a new thing I have to learn is very overwhelming. A lot of people also feel shame because they feel like if I use AI, I'm cheating. I am a specialist in this thing. If I'm using AI to do my job, then maybe my skills are I'm undermining my own skills. So people feel shame. And people also feel fearful. My boss is telling me, my company says I have to learn how to use AI, but I'm old school. I don't know how to use AI. So they're either fearful of losing their job to AI or they're fearful of losing their job because they're not working with AI. and with it is more prevalent in the non-technical professional space, and it is also very prevalent in people of my generation, who are in their 40s, late 35 to early 40s. We are the last analog generation. Grew up not using a lot of technology, and now this whole new thing we have to learn, which is why I came up with the idea, okay, applied AI for busy professionals who are non-technical, because technical people will figure it out if because they're curious, because they're already in that space, or their engineering needs demands them to pick up AI. So my whole idea was to, how do I build a system which teaches the mindset, one, reduces this fear. So, once that fear goes away, excitement comes through. When you see that you're getting some good results from AI, and you're working on things that you can, if it's a business idea or even things at your job that you were having trouble with, and you use AI to get some quick wins, fear fades and then excitement comes in, and then you become curious, and then you have more breakthroughs. So that's why I built that system. And it's called Applied AI for Busy Professionals. Actually, we're going to rebrand it to Apply AI for Knowledge Work. People don't have time. All jobs are very, people don't have time to learn. It's AI needs a lot of experimentation, which means you have to take time out of your day with family, with jobs. It's hard. So I built system where you can read or try something in a very short period of time. So all the guides on Rift are 5 to 10 minute reads. There are 4 minute videos in there to learn quick concepts. And the training was structured where you do a 1 hour session, and then you get an email lesson, and then you come back 2 days later for a Q&A and just ask questions, which was great. Community would come, and people actually said in the live Q&A, first Q&A, they would be afraid. I would open the mic and nobody would speak. And then I would be like, oh, it's okay, come on up, and one person starts speaking, second person starts speaking. And then everybody's like, oh, now I feel a little better that everybody is overwhelmed by this. I thought it was just me. And that was the theme I kept seeing. Everybody felt that overwhelm. So that's why my mission for 2026 is, how do we help reduce the fear, reduce the anxiety of this new thing, and then handhold people through this anxiety so they can move towards excitement.
I would like to zoom out and go for a global context now, right? See, you have seen both part. You have seen the Asian part, and you're now seeing the US part also. So, if AI is the next industrial revolution, which you mentioned, who's actually better positioned to win, US or Asia? And there's a follow up on that.
Okay, this is going to be an interesting one. I wrote a few blogs about this because this has been my focus in the past few weeks, just understanding these patterns. AI is now becoming a geopolitical advantage. Now, what I mean by that is US has a concentration of the frontier AI labs, OpenAI, Anthropic, and even Perplexity. Frontier AI labs that are building models are concentrated in the US. Europe has a couple. Asia Pacific doesn't have frontier labs or like research funding for that matter. But India and China of course has a lot of frontier model makers as well. India and China have an edge in talent, and China has an edge in infrastructure. They're probably 10 years ahead in terms of AI infrastructure, of how it's integrated into life and your society. But I think it will be a race that is going to intensify in 2026. Now, US is doubling down on their AI bet. This is a statistic which I recently learned when I was doing my research. 92% of GDP growth in H1 of 2025 in the US, 92% of that GDP growth was only AI and technology, which means the economy is growing. The only growth part of the economy is AI and technology. So, and with the Genesis project, the US is doubling down on it. China is ahead in infrastructure. India has the talent pool and the young population that can build things. And when I left India, nothing was being built there because everybody was moving outside to build. Money was outside, investments were outside. Now it's the opposite. Now money and investments are in India. There's so many startups, so many people building cool things. So I don't know who's going to win it yet, but 2026 will be very interesting to see how the US advances their own AI policy, and to see how the agent sort of era begins in Asia Pacific as well. I think China is ahead in infrastructure a lot.
What is one thing Asia gets it right and US underestimates that, and one thing what US gets right and Asia struggles with in the AI side?
I think the talent pool and the practical application of AI and the willingness to do work, like hard, work, I think that is very ingrained in Asia Pacific, all countries, India, even like smaller countries out in the Southeast Asia as well. There's a book called AI Superpowers by Kai-Fu Lee, which I read years ago. And he compares why China is ahead of AI. One of the things he mentions is Asia as a culture has the integration of brain, like intellectual sort of power, and raw, boots on the ground manpower. That integration in Asia is ingrained into our values. There's an intellectual power as well at work, where there's so many, analytical fields, there's so many engineers in India, etc. And they're not shy of doing the hard work, the boots on the ground work. There is a lot of manpower available for that as well. I think that is the Asian advantage. And now we're seeing that going into the startup market, not just in the corporate area, but everywhere. That in the US is a little different. There is a lot of concentration of intellectual power in the VC area and the startup space, in the corporate space as well. But I think the youth population in both sides, US and Asia Pacific, will drive this forward in 2026. So I think those are key differences. I won't say it's one better than the other. It's just culturally very different, of how things are executed. And the US startup market is big always, and there's so many cool innovations coming out. Even in the India startup market is insane how fast it's moving. So we'll see. We'll see how 2026 shapes out.
That's a very interesting perspective and very good insight from you on this. And we come to the last round, rapid fire, quick answers, and what comes to your first thought, what comes to your mind. Let's go.
Let's do it.
One habit from your Microsoft days you still can't shake.
Waking up and checking email every day. First thing.
Okay. You still do it? Is it useful?
It's like a habit. Yeah. It's like the icon is on the top right of my phone. So that's the first thing I click whenever I wake up.
Okay. Yes. Music or silence when you're thinking deeply, or
Music.
something else?
Music.
Yeah. I expected that from you because of the generation of musicians, right? Music.
I listen to music when I code. I listen to music when I'm ideating or just scribbling. Always.
One belief you have completely changed your mind about recently.
Wow. One belief. There is quite a few, Happiness is not related to job, money, positions, prestige. No. Happiness just means being free to do what you like.
That's well put, and it's very deep. A book that shaped your thinking.
Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. It completely changed my mind. It changed my mind about everything. It changed my mind about how we as human species function, what the world functions, how the world functions, how I used to look at things in terms of, countries, cultures, everything. It changed my complete mind. I'm a big fan of Yuval Noah Harari.
One AI tool you would actually panic if it went down tomorrow.
Replit. I think Replit. I have too many things going on in Replit.
Are most people using AI to think better or to avoid thinking?
The people that are using it to avoid thinking are probably not getting the best results. And the people that are using AI the right way as a thought partner will be the winners of this race. They will basically multiply themselves and be better versions of how they think and work. That's sort of what I think. And a lot of AI slop that we see is not an AI problem. I think it's a skill problem. So that's sort of what I think. If you use AI as a thought partner and build the right systems to use it, you will multiply your thinking, you will open your mind to a lot of things, and you will do things faster, better.
Finish the sentence. People who are scared of AI should really be scared of
people that are not scared of AI.
Okay.
So people that are scared of AI should be scared of people that are not scared of it.
Not scared of AI. Well put.
In my training, there were a lot of people who asked me, okay, I do this. Do you think AI is going to take jobs away? And my general response to that is AI might not take your job away. I mean, some jobs, sure, I think there'll be a huge hit to the labor market this year in certain areas, but you shouldn't be afraid of AI taking your job, but you should be afraid of somebody else that uses AI taking your job.
Wow. We come to the end of the session. Shashwat, this was a very powerful and energetic conversation. If there's one takeaway from today, AI isn't about tools, it is about who you become while using them. Thank you
That's
for
true.
building, sharing, and helping people cross the rift.
Thank you, Sachin. Thank you for having me. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you. You are watching 101 Talks with Sachin Menon, where we break in big, complex ideas into simple, grounded conversation. Thank you. See you in the next episode.